All right, everyone, welcome back to the show. Here's my buddy Alex, first in-person podcast here in Reno. So happy to have you on the show, buddy, and looking forward to talking about how you went from new investor to being like the biggest wholesaler in Northern Nevada by a long shot. So for quite the journey, you've done it, what, in 5 years?
Yeah, I'm 6 years in right now.
Yeah, so you grew pretty quick. So before we get into real estate, like, how did you, and where did you grow up and what did you do before real estate, bro?
We live in Reno now. I'm from Gardnerville, originally about an hour south of here, small town. God's guns to Donald Trump. It's like
Oh, was that Garnerville?
yeah,
in a nutshell?
in a nutshell, yeah.
Is that near Carson City, kind of?
A little bit farther south?
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good sized town. That's, we have a lot of small towns in Nevada, but
Yeah.
it's big enough where it's not like a meth town.
Not like Breaking Bad shit.
No.
Okay.
Some places in Lyon County and stuff where we do deals, like those are more like meth towns, I would
Yeah.
say. But yeah, Gardnerville's got a good mix of everyone down there. So I grew up down there. I grew up like racing motocross and stuff like that. And I've been up here for about 13 years now. Yeah, had somewhat of an interesting life, I guess, just like a weird path.
You definitely do have an interesting background because I remember we met for lunch once and I was like, what did you do for real estate? You're like, I was a rapper.
Yeah.
From fucking Gardnerville.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't seem like a lot of rap down there.
No, yeah, there's not big on rap, but yeah. So when I moved up here, I was going to school and stuff, and I just hated it.
You're UNR?
Yeah, for a little bit.
That's where everyone goes, right?
Right. Yeah.
College.
Cheating. And then back then, I'm dating myself, but graduated in 2009 and they had like some crazy scholarship shit back then when the economy was bad. So it was like very inexpensive to go.
Sure.
But I only went just because my mom wanted me to. And then I finally got sick of it and quit.
So you graduated high school in 09?
Yeah.
All right. So you're, what are you, 33?
30. I graduated a year early. So I was like young for my class or whatever. Yeah. Okay. I just turned 32. But yeah. So I was a busboy.
Okay.
At the Atlantis here in town.
Oh yeah. Right down the G Street, bro.
And then, I transferred to the valet there. So I worked there. I worked valet for a while.
Okay.
Cool. It's one of those jobs that like sucks dick when you do it. But like when you look back. That was sick. That was about, So actually our dispo manager now, Cody, that's where I met him. We used to work at the valet together back in the day.
Oh, cool, man.
Yeah. So in that time, like basically right when I moved up here all the way until, 2020, I guess 4 years ago now, I was doing music and like moderately successful with that. And so I was kind of just like working and then I was treating music like my job and I would just work to like
pay the bills. Sure. You're living on your own.
I didn't make shit.
Yeah.
I was used to like living on literally nothing, like the cheapest human, or it used to be. I'm getting a little bit better. I was like the cheapest human, which made it easy to transition into wholesaling. We'll get into that because I was just used to, I had no overhead, like in life, like rent, roommates, like cheapest food possible.
Ramen noodles.
Yeah. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I was doing music and I had some like decent success with that. Like, I always have to frame it because when you hear someone that's like, I used to be a rapper, like everyone has that image of like who that looks like.
Did you have long hair too?
I had a mullet.
You got a mullet and fucking beard.
Yeah, beard for a bit afterwards. After I finally got to quit my job, that's when I could get a beard because I had to be clean shaven.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, like at the ballet, it was such a job that like they didn't give a fuck at all. So like I just worked hard. Like when I was there, I'm like, I'm going to stay the whole shift, 8 hours.
Yes.
It's just like a job for dirtbags pretty much. Like most of the people that work there, they work like 3 hours and then they want to go home. So when they start cutting staff, they get sent home because they want to. And I always wanted to stay. But when you stay, the tips get split between less people. So you end up making like 3 times as much money if you stay the whole shift.
Oh yeah, because the idiots who got cut out first lost on the whole, back half of the tip jar.
Yeah, and more because now there's less guys. So yeah, if you stay 3 hours, you're lazy as fuck. Like you make $20 in tips and then you leave. And then like if you stay 8 hours, you make 100 or $120 in tips. So I just like stayed, 5 days a week. I was just there the whole time. And then I was doing music in all of my spare time other than that. And then it got to the point where like, all right, I only want to work 4 days down there. It's like, okay, there's no this is a 9 to 5 job type thing. And then I started making a little bit of money in music. And then I cut down to 2 days at the valet because I'm like, I'm only working 2 days now. And they're just like, okay.
Yeah.
So that was just like enough. I made like $1,200 a month at the valet at that point, just to like pay my rent and like my food, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then I just had 5 days off to do music the whole. So with that, we kind of treated it like a band after a certain point. I had a couple guys here in town, Garrett and Alan. Garrett was like our engineer. So we like recorded at his home studio. And then Alan was our producer. So like he made all the beats. And then like I wrote everything. And then we kind of like collaborated on like melodies and stuff. Cause like I don't have a music background. It was just like something that I was like, well, I'm fucking bored and like,
Yeah.
I don't want to have a real job. So like, I'll try this. And then
Yeah,
like, once you go into that, at least for myself, I don't like quitting. So I'm just like, this is what I do now. And that's how I wholesaling too, pretty much. But so we kind of treated it like a band. Like I was like the face fit, but it was like a 3-way effort. And then we would just split everything 3 ways that comes in.
All the revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So still to this.
It's like a wholesaling business, dude. Simple.
Yeah. And that's the thing is
revenue.
like, without being Ficco, like there is no real estate company because it's just like the progression.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also, that's where I learned like my first little bit about like quote unquote business, like a little bit of like teamwork, a little bit of like revenue, expenses, coordinating music videos and touring and doing all this other stuff.
Oh, so you would go out of the Nevada area to do this?
Yeah.
Where have you gone?
All over the US. Yeah.
East Coast, fucking Florida, like the whole thing.
Yeah, we did.
Texas.
We did work tour in
No
2017.
shit. Vans work tour. Dude, I fucking been to one of those.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. So 2017, we did the whole tour. So that's mostly like where I went all over.
Yeah.
And I've had a couple of like smaller, like regional tours and stuff around that same time. And then, so I learned a lot through that and like just like marketing and, branding.
Putting yourself out there. Yeah, man.
And that's why like, because you post a lot of content, but a lot of people in real estate are scared to post things or at least scared to be themselves. Like they think that real estate is some like buttoned up industry where you gotta be robot guy. And they just don't understand that like when I was speaking, like as soon as because I had that problem too for the first few years. And then as soon as I was just like, fuck it, I'm just going to do exactly what I want. I'm going to get the mullet because I think it would be funny. And I'm just going to like that. I kind of just fell into the branding thing that way.
Yeah.
But that's when the numbers started to go crazy.
Yeah.
Because now I was like memorable and I stood out and I was also polarizing. I learned that it was just like, either when you saw the video on Facebook, I had, back then, Facebook was like TikTok is now.
Yeah.
Going viral.
It's huge.
So, I have videos that have like 8 million views on Facebook and stuff like that. And so I would just study them because I was just obsessed. Like, why did that video make people scroll and like, or not scroll? And then like, the kind of negativity bias that people have, like that I would use as the captions. So it's almost like you trick people into thinking that this is going to be really bad.
Yeah.
And then when they click on it and they think you're awesome, that's like a fan forever. They're like, they'll comment and be like, dude, that was sick. Like you're fucking awesome. And then the other people, they think it's going to be really bad and it is bad to them. They'll definitely let you know too.
Yeah.
And that's what people miss in real estate content because they try to be like this robot guy. And like, if that's how you are, fine. But the problem is most people are not like that. Like I meet these guys at events and they talk just like I do, but their content, they just try to be exactly like the other guys that are doing real estate.
They just copy all the other people and they don't stand out.
No one gives a fuck.
Yeah.
That's the problem. You're just like indifferent. Even if the content's good, it's educational, you're good on camera, whatever, no one cares because like there's someone else out there that's more credible than you that already mastered that like specific thing. So, that I learned that from music and just a bunch of other things. And so, when I got work tour, that's when I finally quit my job at the ballet and then just did that. And then that's also, so that was in summer of 17. And that's when I started learning about wholesaling. So I decided that when I got back from tour, I wasn't going to like go back to work. I was going to now dedicate that time to trying to wholesale.
Sure.
And so I listened to this podcast called Wholesaling Inc. And back then,
Tom Kroll, bro.
Yeah. I know it's still
he's an OG.
thing.
Yeah. Brent Daniels bought that from Tom.
Yeah. And back then I remember there was only like 135 episodes or something. I know there are like thousands now. But, it was like, and of course every episode is like a mini pitch for the coaching, which I couldn't afford.
Yeah.
So before I went out on tour, while I was parking people's cars, I was listening to that podcast and I would put it in my uniform like this. And I had notes on my phone that like anytime I would hear a nugget that I didn't know, I would put it in my notes. So at the end of all 135 episodes, I listened to all of them. I had basically the notes in my phone, like blueprint on like, basically this is how wholesaling works.
Yeah. You like pieced it together kind of like by episode by episode. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah. So that's how I got into wholesaling.
How'd you find that wholesaling? Like, how did you discover wholesaling? Because you could have found crypto, you could have found stocks, you could have found fucking, e-com, all those other businesses. Like, what about wholesaling? How did you get into that? Like, what made you find that?
Yeah. The best piece of advice I ever got was from my buddy's boss, who was not a real estate guy. He's like a business guy, but he had owned real estate in the past. So like most people, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad in like 2011, like a long time ago.
Okay.
Just didn't do anything with the information, but that was like the shit for me, like it does for most people. And then, I was always like, I want to do apartments. I want to do apartments. And this was probably 2015 when I met with this guy. And I only met with him because I literally didn't know anyone that had ever like done real estate at all.
Your parents never did it?
No.
What'd your parents do?
Well, my family is kind of weird. Like I would think I was adopted if I didn't look just like my dad.
No shit.
Like the apple doesn't fall far. Like,
Yeah.
I was born on a hill. Like I rolled very far away. And my parents are hella old. So
they're a lot of, okay.
Yeah, my dad was 60 when I was born.
Oh wow. Okay.
My mom was like 39.
Okay.
So when we moved to Nevada, I was born in California. We moved up here when I was 5. So my dad was 65. So he like retired and then we moved here.
Yeah.
So I had a stay at home dad, but he always looked like 20 years younger than he was. And he was like active and stuff, not like in the gym, but just like, and then my mom just like, she just retired finally like a couple months ago. She just worked at the state, like, normal job. So yeah.
So you didn't come from money or anything like that?
No. My parents have a decent house, but I learned about what house broke is from them.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
I think that parents, like, they do the best that they can
for sure,
for the most part, unless they're like bad people or
just complete assholes. Yeah, that shouldn't have kids.
They're not. Yeah, right. So I think that they did the best that they.
We see this in our business.
100%.
Yeah, on a daily basis.
So they did the best that they could, but I just had like very little like leadership in the household, not a whole lot of guidance.
You an only child?
Only child. Yeah,
no siblings.
No, I have 2 half siblings that are like our sellers sometimes. Really bad, but they're old enough to be parents because they're from my dad's previous marriage.
Yeah, so they're probably in their 40s and 50s.
Probably. I haven't even talked to them in at least 15. They're probably in their mid 50s now.
Yeah. So that could be your parents. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, not from like an entrepreneurial family by any means or anything like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I just didn't know anyone that like did business or did real estate or anything. And this was the only dude. I was like, well, he's had like rentals, I think.
Yeah.
And so I met with him and I found a couple deals off of like LoopNet and like a free underwriting spreadsheet for apartments. And I just met with him just to see if I was doing it right.
Yeah.
And he's the one that gave me like good advice. And he was like, yeah, this is right. But the problem is you don't have any money. And even if you did, no bank is going to loan you, $3 million for this 40 unit, even if you have the down payment without a track record. I'm like, all right.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I did an apartment. They're fucking hairy, dude. They're very complicated. Right. It's not just like getting a hard money loan and flipping a fucking SFR.
And that's you now knowing what you're doing. So at the very beginning,
I had a lot of experience when I did it. Yeah.
I'm glad it wasn't like, go for it. Like you got it. Like this is right. And he was like, if I were you, I'd put this on the back burner. Apartments are always going to be there and just focus on how you can make more money now.
That's very good advice, dude. That guy did you a real solid by giving you that advice. Not just bold. Okay, you could syndicate a deal. You're fucking 22 years old. Right. Like go raise it from your fucking
now. But
for sure.
Not back then.
Yeah, not when you were brand new.
So I was like, okay, and did nothing for more years. I was still doing music and stuff. And then I had heard of it before, just like podcasts and stuff. But then that's when I rediscovered wholesaling, just like randomly, I think through podcasts.
Find a way to come to these podcasts.
I think it was Figure Pockets, probably someone's episode that was talking about wholesaling. And then that's where, that's the pitch for the wholesaling course is like, you don't know what the fuck you're doing and you have no money, you can wholesale. So I was like, all right, I think I can do that. Just
that's
like
awesome.
That's how I can make money. All right, cool.
Yeah.
And then that's when I started learning.
Okay. So that's how you got into it. So the biggest problem with new wholesalers, because you went from new wholesaler to the biggest wholesaler in fucking Reno, which is not an easy thing to do. So how did you get to your first deal? Because a lot of new people come to me, and I'm sure they come to you, and I'm like, listen, the only thing that matters is doing your first deal. See if you even like the fucking business.
Yeah.
So how'd you run into that one?
I got very lucky in my first deal, knowing what I know now. I was taking action, I was putting out bandit signs and, I was putting like ads on Craigslist that say, like we buy houses, but the direction on that is that's to build your buyers list,
Yeah.
which did work. People would respond just like, the people said it would.
Sure.
But I got my first deal off of one of those ads. It was the only deal I've ever done. I bought a couple off Craigslist now. I think we've done like 5 or 6 between Craigslist and Zillow for sale by owner in 6 years. So it's like very few and far between.
Yeah.
But that's the only one where they contacted me off of an advertisement, not they had the house listed.
Yeah, like I buy houses, call me for an offer.
And he actually did.
Yeah.
Because it was only buyers. It was never a seller contact off of that. But this guy did. And he was like 100%, 150% motivated seller. And like now,
Where was he, in Reno, or was he in another market?
So he lived in a garage in Sparks.
He lived in a garage?
Yeah. So like it wasn't his house, but he was living in the garage. He worked in like a fast food place over there, just like an absolute train wreck of a human.
Yeah.
Tons of issues. And his house was a mobile home in a park in South Lake Tahoe, which is in California. So now
That's like an hour from here, at least.
hour and a half, probably. Yeah.
That's a fucking ride.
Yeah. Cause it's at the way south end of South Lake.
Oh, like past Heavenly and shit?
Yeah. Past that.
Deep.
Probably 20 minutes past it.
Oh,
yeah,
fuck, dude.
way deep.
Yeah, that's a hike.
And so
Jesus Christ.
I didn't know what I was doing. But I was like, oh shit, like this is a seller,
Yeah.
Talked to a few sellers already.
This guy sounds different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, all right. Okay, cool. So, I got a little bit of info. I had no sales process. I didn't know qualifying leads. Like I didn't know shit. Of course.
Yeah.
How could I? And so I talked to him a bit and I just like did my best on Zillow. I went and I like drew around the park and then I switched it to sold. And I'm like, all right, well, this one like sold for 60 grand, mobile home at park. Luckily they had the sold data on there probably because it's California, because in Nevada, they don't have the sold data for any personal property mobile homes because it's not real estate. It's not publicly.
Yeah, it's like a car.
Exactly.
It's like buying a car.
Luckily I could have some comps there. Another way I got lucky with that deal. And
Cali does mobile homes a lot differently. You go through escrow for mobile homes.
Yeah,
in Cali.
so, yeah.
San Diego, I've had that happen.
yeah, so that was another, basically in this first deal, like everything went wrong that could have, except it actually closed.
That's insane, dude.
Yeah. So
So you bought a mobile home, you wholesaled a mobile home in a mobile home park. That's fucking wild.
first deal.
I've never done that, by the way.
Oh, really?
In a park.
Yeah.
Never in a park.
We've done a few of them, but they're so different and they're worthless.
It's like buying into like a car.
Yeah, it's very hard to make the numbers work. And so for him, I really just didn't know. I had no clue what rehab was. I don't have a construction background, but I saw one that was like, there was brand new homes in the park selling for like 120 and 140, brand new mobile homes. And then I saw this like older one like this, like the one I was working on.
Like an 80s and 90s build.
I think it was even like a late 70s.
Oh, single wide or double wide?
Double wide, but just
Fuck.
garbage. And, I didn't know the questions to ask for like condition or anything
Yeah,
like that, but
yeah.
I was just like, all right, 60. I think that's like my ARB. And so like, I was like, well, he's never going to accept this anyway. So I told him, I was like, we could give you $7,500 for it. And he was just like, okay.
And it was vacant, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So the motivation there was like divorce, the kids and the mom, somehow screwed him over or whatever. And
Yeah.
he can't go back to the house, too much emotional damage.
Yeah.
That's why he's down here. He's working down here now. He's behind. He doesn't pay for the space rent. So the park's up his ass. They're going to take the home back.
Yeah, it's accruing. It's like an HOA.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like 5K behind.
Oh man. So he missed the payment for like, that's like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck.
So, I even explained to him, over-explained everything on the first deal because I didn't know. So you have to tell everyone everything. And so I went through the math with him. I was like, well, if you owe this much and, you get $6, it's $2,000, walk away, whatever. And
You're
he's like,
going to lose it, bro.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay. So I go over to his garage in Sparks and sign the contract. Fucking literally like read it to him because I didn't know.
Crazy shit, dude.
Yeah. And so I got it signed and then I went to a meetup here in town. Like I put together a little marketing package or whatever. And I was scared shitless to go. It was my second meetup. The month before I was like scared shitless to go. And then the second meetup, I had a deal. This one had some printouts and stuff. So I kind of said that. And I talked to this dude there that was from South Lake and he was also a contractor. And he's like, yeah, I don't want it, but like, I'll come by. I got nothing to do tomorrow. I was having an open house the next day.
Sure.
Like 6. I had like 3 or 4 buyers lined up. I think 4 total with him that were going to meet me up there at this open house thing that I got off of my shitty Craigslist buyers list.
Yeah.
And no one showed up except for him. He was the only guy that came.
The first guy.
the contract.
Yeah, the contract guy who was like, oh, I got nothing going on. I'm just going to show up at a fucking mobile.
Yeah. But I was like, dude, it would be awesome if you came just to let me know like how much you think rehab is, because that would be like very helpful for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll stop by. So he comes, and then he told me that he's like, yeah, I think we spent about 30,000 in here. So like that, I just remember the look of that home. And like, to me, that was a $30,000 rehab. Like that's the only reference I had for a future. And so he ended up buying it too. Like, you know, he came and walked it.
So you got it for 7,500. What'd you sell?
I was trying to market it for 20K.
Okay.
And then, you know, you're all excited counting money.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because like, that's why wholesaling was appealing to me. And I would go pound bandit signs with frozen tundra around here at midnight, because like the thought of making 5K at one time was like insane. You know, I would do it.
How long would that take you to do your job when you were a valet guy?
Exactly. I make $3,000 a month, 40 hours a week.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why I was willing to do it. And so I'm like, dude, I'm gonna make like, you know, 15 grand off of this, like I'm gonna be balling. And so it kept getting dwindled down. And he was like, basically said he would do 12.5. And I was like, all right, well, you know, $4,500, and that's not bad for my first deal.
Yeah, dude.
And then like all the regular drama that we deal with all the time started from there. And, you know, the sellers blowing me up at 3 a.m. Like I had PTSD from my Google Voice sound. You know,
Oh yeah, dude. That's
so
funny. Google Voice.
you know, blowing me up like deals off and like all of this stuff. And then I would hit him up the next morning.
on mobile home.
Yeah. And then
That's crazy.
you know, whatever he had going on. And then I'd text him back the next morning or call and be like, hey, like, what's going on? And he's like, disregard bad thoughts, stuff like that.
Dude, I literally deal with this like
All
3 times a week.
right. Exactly. Normal now. I should have ran right there.
Desensitization.
But
101.
yeah. And so my fee kept getting dwindled down in other ways. You know, then he didn't realize that he had to pay for the debt, even though I explained it to him very clearly.
Seller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had to like split that. And then the transaction went another month long. So I had to pay for that month's space rent. When it was all said and done, I couldn't find a title company because it was personal property and it was in California.
Yeah.
Finally did that. Contract was wrong because personal property, not real estate.
Yeah, you did.
I'm hitting up the title lady that does those. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, what do you need in it? And she helped me out. She's like, just use this. And she sent another contract, re-signed it, whatever. And then when it was all said and done, you know, I made $2,087 on the first deal.
Better than zero, bro. You got proof of concept on.
Yeah. And that's what was important. Like I could have broke even.
Yeah.
But the experience of front to back,
Millions, bro.
okay, this works.
Yes.
That's what was important.
Dude, that's fucking a killer first deal, dude.
Yeah.
Mobile home in South Lake Tahoe.
Mhm.
That's fucking crazy. So obviously you've grown your business tremendously since then. So we're going to unpack your business. Before we unpack the business, what does the business look like today?
Yeah. So we basically, you know, just quick backstory. Like I did the wholesaling thing for like 18 months on my own. I probably did about 18 deals total. So on average, one a month.
Deal office great around here.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially for not knowing fuck.
Yeah, dude.
And so my partner now, Wes, he used to work for a company called Wedgwood, and they're like a
huge business.
Yeah, huge. They buy in many different states, big house flipping company. So he was a project manager for them. So that's where he learned how to flip. And he flipped like 75 houses in his couple of years with them. And back then, that was pre-COVID. Wedgwood, basically their entire business model is buy at the steps. And they don't do any direct seller, no marketing, no sourcing deals, nothing. So he would get bonus if he could bring in any deals. So that's why we knew each other, because he reached out to me, super cool guy, really, really smart. And so every time I would sell them a deal, I would do it through him so he would get his bonus or whatnot. He wanted to go out on his own, and then he saw something in me to want to partner with me or sure. And then, so we partnered up like June of 2019, and then we started wholesaling and flipping. And it was basically like, and I got so lucky again with Wes, knowing what I know now about partners and stuff. And we just had opposite skill sets, opposite personalities is like what you need for a good partnership.
Oh, for
you
sure.
don't need like two visionaries or whatnot.
No.
And so he just, it could have been literally anyone in front of me that day I met for coffee and like, we should partner up. And I would have been like, okay,
sure, bro.
Because I've just always had the attitude, like I got nothing to lose and I'll go right back to the fucking ballet if I need to.
Yeah.
And like, even right now, years later, like the same guys still work there. And like, I could just walk back in and be like, all right, I work here again. And they'd be like, fuck yeah.
Yeah. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was always my attitude towards everything. Just said yes to that. So we started, you know, our business now at that time and just kind of grew it, you know, over what's it been? That's for almost 5 years.
Yeah. What period of time, bro?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, now, well, at that time, you know, we started flipping, you know, we did like our first couple flips. and still wholesaling here and there and stuff, but just like rolling with the punches and fucking, getting a lot of help with the market, knowing.
No, that was right when that run up was happening, dude, especially around here. I didn't live here back then, but dude, Reno blew the fuck up, bro.
Yeah, we had like 3 flips like right at the beginning of COVID. And again, it was just like, well, I guess we'll keep moving forward because we don't have shit else to do.
Yeah, what else you gonna do?
So
got it outside your house. Was it like crazy around here with COVID, or people didn't give a shit?
yeah, well, yeah, I mean, more rural, like they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But like here in Reno.
Fuck now.
Yeah. So yeah, we kind of made it through that. And then the market started ripping right after that. So it was like the more you fucked up on the flips and the longer you held
The
it,
more you made.
So, we're buying at, 10% ROI, thinking that we're going to make 30K on a flip, and we end up making 60 on every single deal. So when we used to flip a lot, our average profit per deal was 57,000, but most of that was just, at least half of it was like getting help with the market. It's not like we were superb house flippers and had this like dialed in business.
You had a good tailwind coming at your back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until it didn't. And then,
well, you guys got stung pretty bad on a couple projects, right?
Really bad. So June of 22, we had just hired our acquisition manager at that time. And we were really excited about him, and we're just getting him trained up. And then we had like 10 active rehabs, and we had been, kind of like skipping parts, like failing on our own, not really knowing what we're doing, not being a part of any like groups, no blueprint for how to do it, anything like that.
Just kind of flying by the seat of your pants. Yeah. Wheeling deals, making offers, fucking, being a hustler.
Absolute dumpster fire, really.
Yeah.
And
I know how that is.
Yeah. So, we joined Pineda's mastermind in spring of 22.
Is that called Future Flipper?
It was Future Flipper back then. Now it's
Wealthy Investor. Yeah.
And huge shout out to my boy Ray from Vegas, Ray Rodriguez, like one of the most genuine and helpful dudes ever. And he was always trying to get us to come down there because he went to school here for a year or something.
Oh yeah.
And like saw me on Instagram somehow. And then, we kind of stayed in touch and stuff. And he was from Vegas, and he worked for Pineda at the time doing acquisitions and stuff. And so he got us down there. And then that was the first time when we went and got to walk Pineda's office, that operation where it kind of became real for me. And I was like, oh shit, like this is doable. Like this is not that far away. Like this is attainable, how much volume they did. And that's when they were only flipping a lot too, and not really wholesaling, which is what we wanted to do. I was like, oh, like there's like 12 people that work here. Like this is not Wedgwood. This is not like some crazy.
Yeah, it's not like 150 person company where it's like, there's an HR office.
And they could do, I think they were doing like 100 or 150 flips a year or something in Vegas, and with 12 people. I'm like, oh, okay. And then we joined up, and like we had kind of the blueprint on like what to do. And that was the first time ever that I got to sit like this with other people that were doing like more than us too. So that was super valuable.
Because around here, there's not too many big boys in Reno. That's the thing with Reno. It's a small town. It ain't Vegas or freaking Dallas.
There are big flippers here, but it's just like kind of a different operation. Like most of them are like really solo guys. Like the guys that do a lot of volume. Everyone has a little bit different setup. Now I know all of them from doing the wholesaling thing so long, but most of them are just like hardcore self-employed. All their businesses are dumpster fires, like, and they just like go out and close, and they rely heavily on like a single contractor. The contractor does all the project management for them, and like that's what they want. Or maybe they just don't know to turn it into a real business, and they make hella money, and that's kind of the end of it. And so I saw like a different path there, and I got to sit roundtable with like some really smart guys, and like specifically Clint Cooper was one of them in my group. That was the first time I met Clint, and he was just like, you could just tell he was a fucking G, and he was only like 18 months into the business, already crushing. And he was the one that, the way he talked about hiring people was so much different. He was so aggressive. He was like, my COO, like I already knew him. I knew that was my guy. Like I paid him salary to get him in the door. It wasn't like just whoever you think can do the job. He was like, that's my guy. You work for me now.
Yeah.
And so that's when we got back, we started looking for an acquisition manager, and that's how we treated it. Like we just knew at that point, through bad hires and like not having really like defined roles and not training enough and things like that. It's like, we just need like a really, really good candidate, a lot of time training and things like that. So we had just hired him at that time, and then the market shifted. And
big time. This is when the rates went up.
Huge.
Yeah.
In 22, we had like 9 or 10 active rehabs at the time. And then locally here, I know it's different in market to market. Locally, it was just like no buyers are in the marketplace, retail buyers.
Scares the same thing in San Diego.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure.
I sold a flip in May and the fucking shit hit the fan in like June.
Yep. Yep.
Crazy.
Just overnight, as you know, we saw in our big competitors like Wedgwood and another group here that do, you know, several hundred flips a year locally. We saw them, the last one that we had bought the first week of May before all this happened. We took it too tight. It was a deal from an agent. We wanted to like perform and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've been there, bro.
Yeah.
Never really works out in a profitable manner.
We were going to do like so. Well, it had for us in the past because of the.
Well, yeah, the upswing on the market. Now you're going in a fucking downturn. Yeah.
And, you know, when the market was so hot back then, like we always had a good product, but you could get away with doing like dog shit rehabs. And
because anything was selling because there was no inventory.
There was no other option for the buyers and the rates and stuff like that. So with this house, we were planning on doing like a dog shit rehab and then listing for less than what ARV was. So I remember, you know, it was over in Sparks and it was like 425 ARV. We're like, we're going to put, you know, 20, 25K into this and sell it for 400. We're going to make our, you know, 25, 30 grand super tight and then walk.
Yeah.
Then that happened. And then we had the two competitor great comps, full rehabs listed right at 425.
Yeah.
And then we saw those overnight cut to 400.
Oh, fuck.
And
disaster.
But these guys, you know, in the past, it's such a different game that they play because of the volume. They don't cut like that. They don't care how long it takes to sell. They'll just let it sit on market forever. So when we saw them cut huge like that, we're like, oh shit, they're scared. And we called the listing agents and, you know, like, what's the traction been like? They're like, we haven't even had a showing in 2 weeks. We're like, oh, fuck. So we saw that deal immediately went to break even and possibly less. And then the inventory started to stack up because everyone got scared and sell now and all this stuff. And so then at that point, it's like, well, now you can't do the dog shit rehab. You have to have a nice product.
Because it has to stand out if you want to even have a chance to sell them.
So that was, you know, the last one that we ended up buying. And then we had to do a full rehab. And, you know, I know we lost money on that. On all of those projects, you know, they went to like all of these now either break even or lose money. And then so like Q3 and 4 of 2022, and then into Q1, all we did was pivot to wholesaling because we just hired our good AM. It's like, oh, we're going to keep the machine going.
And you wanted to give him volume. You wanted to give him, you know, quicker closings, not these, you know, 5-month sales cycles where you're making exact $1,000.
And so, you know, it's like, let's clear up all this inventory in the meantime. And that was the first time that I ever got scared with debt and stuff. And that's just me being stupid and not understanding like what I'm signing for, because like I'm personally guaranteeing all the loans.
Oh, hard money's all PG.
We're at 100% financing on every single deal.
Yeah.
And then you do the math and you're like, oh shit, we have like 4 million out right now and we're it's 24K a month just in payment.
Yeah.
So that happened. And then we're like, all right, well, let's, you know, just wholesale everything that comes in. We'll work on this and then we'll like reassess from there. So those 6 months and even, you know, trailing into last year, 23, were really, really tough. And we ended up losing a couple $100,000 in total on those deals. We were like minus 110 net profit on a single deal on multifamily, not too far from here, actually.
Is that the one over?
It was on 7th Street by Roller Kingdom over here.
Oh, yeah. Was that the one on the MLS you're telling me about?
Yeah, we bought it off the MLS. Everything went right.
Yeah.
You know, but we learned a lot through all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And specifically with that deal, you know, we learned lessons that we wouldn't do again, you know, next time. So we were working on that. It was like huge capital issue for the company. And anytime I had wholesaled up until then, you know, I didn't really have like a dispo process. I would just call the buyer that I know.
Yeah.
The buyers like, hey,
I'm
buy this, you know, 5K fee. That's what wholesaling was.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then we were just flipping everything because you would make so much more. We never.
Yeah, and the retail market was going to max you out. You didn't have to worry about like leaving money on the table because the fucking market is what the market is.
Yes. So for the next year, from basically June to, you know, even past June of 23, we had an acquisition manager. He was trained up, really, really good. And then, you know, I stepped into the dispo role and then just like built out that role and like real processes.
System
to make it like more of a real business.
Like a predictable factory. We're like a process for selling.
This is how we
just like calling up fucking Rick down the street and saying, Rick, what can you do here?
Yep, exactly. So, you know, I spent all my time doing that pretty much. And then we just hired our first like full-time dispo manager in October of 2023. So yeah, that took like over a year just to do that. And then, but then by that time, you know, we just like stopped doing like a little bit of this and a little bit of that and like just focused on wholesaling, making these losses in the background and stuff. But we knew just like for the time being, we're not even going to think about taking deals down. We're only going to wholesale. So like, how do we get better at marketing? How do we get better at sales? How do we improve all the front end process for acquisitions?
Yeah.
How do we get better at dispo? Because now like our overhead didn't change at all, but we cut our average profit by probably a third, you know?
Yeah.
So now the business doesn't work anymore if we're not making 57K per deal.
Yeah.
So we're tightening up overhead. How do we do more with the same type thing? How do we get more fee per deal? So like fast forward to today, you know, we have like our average fee size is 30K on the wholesale.
That sounds like right on par with what Reno should be.
Yeah.
Like 30, 35.
For someone that actually knows what they're doing.
Yeah. Like a real wholesaler.
Yeah.
Not some schmuck.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
30, 35,000 in this area with the competition and the house price. That's like totally like a normal thing to expect.
So now we know, you know, it becomes more predictable as you get farther along with your, you know, your KPIs and like you're tracking all that stuff and just knowing like, okay, like if we make $30,000 per deal, like we know what our cost per lead is, cost per contract, all of those things.
You're probably what it
works.
It's probably like $7,000 in Reno, cost per contract.
Yeah, I think we're a little bit less than that, you know, and it changes all the time.
Really good. Yeah.
But yeah, I think our target cost per contract is like $4,500.
That's really good. Yeah, that's blended.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and obviously it changes per channel and stuff like that. So that's like our target. And then, you know, we dispo for 30K on average.
That math works at scale.
Yeah.
You can scale that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You know, because the just 4,500 to make 30, you know, you have net profit, you have, you know, commissions, software.
There's money left over for labor and softwares and office and other overhead and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at now. You know, we did 60 last year and our goal is to do 100 this year.
It's amazing, dude.
Yeah.
60 in Reno is not an easy task, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a small market here. There's like 90 people in the metro. So like,
I think there's only 500,000.
Yeah. I mean, it's a small town.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fucking impressive, dude.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this now. What is the biggest wholesale deal you've ever done in Reno? Assignment fee wise. Where you were like, holy fuck. Because flipping is different. Just the market will max you out.
Yeah. So like a few of our biggest deals last year were just raw land, actually.
Raw land, like in the middle of nowhere kind of land?
No, because the dirt out here in the middle of nowhere is just worthless.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
There's so much of it.
Literally,
It's worth absolutely nothing.
yeah, we did one like way the fuck north of here in the middle of nowhere. And this was in Q1 of 2023. We're just desperate to contract anything.
Yeah.
And it got to the point like just to like set the stage of what it was like, where we took all those losses, we had to cut overhead. And it was just like, we had a real conversation with the team that was like, here's the situation. We have 3 months left. Like it's all hands on deck acquisitions. Everyone's doing acquisitions right now. And like, we're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. And then, so during this time, we were just desperate to contract like anything that we might be able to dispo.
Yeah.
And so we bought a lot out there for like $5,000. It's 10 acres for $5,000. And then relisted it on the MLS for, you know, $15,000 because the comps were at 20.
Yeah.
And sold it for 15. But you know, when it's all said and done, like we made like $6,000 on the deal. So good ROI.
Yeah.
$6,000, like who gives a shit? It doesn't keep us in business.
Yeah.
That's what most of the land is like here.
Yeah.
But then randomly, the first one we did, it was a mistake because we forgot to scrub the land from our mailing list. And someone called in and there's like the lot.
I've made that mistake out here.
Yeah.
I get these leads in the earth and I'm like, fuck this. They're worth nothing.
So it was a lot over here in South Reno and like a home had burnt down.
Is it infill lot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just, it used to have a single family home.
Yeah. Okay.
And the home burned down. They already took the insurance money. It's just sitting there. So like kind of anything they could sell for was
It's like fucking free money. Yeah.
And so it was, you know, at the same time where it's like, well, man, it's really hard to comp, but like the best comp that we have is like 230 for a lot. And I don't think
this is in like Arrow Creek or where is it?
It's way up on Mount Rose Highway.
So Montreux area up there.
Even farther up, but yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
So we're like, we could probably do something with it for 100 for sure. So we did that. And it wasn't really a wholesale, it was another like take down and relist.
Yeah.
But we sold that for like 180. And then we did another one.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Did you close on it or did you novate it?
We closed on it.
So you bought it and put it back. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, same thing happened with another piece of land in South Reno with an even bigger spread, but it wasn't really a wholesale. It was a takedown and relist.
Yeah. But you weren't rehabbing it. You're buying and selling. What's happened to take it?
It was just dirt. You know?
Yeah.
And we could have like, improved it or, done whatever, but it was just like the as is thing. So
Yeah.
those were like our biggest spreads last year, but they were more so flips because we actually took title. But as far as like assignment fees go, man, we had one that just recently they were supposed to make 65 on, and it got
That's a great assignment fee.
We got 40, which is still good. I don't think we've really made maybe like 50 or something as an assignment. The biggest ones have been those like
those lot deals.
Yeah. We just took one down last week that's a like destroyed manufactured in Carson. Same thing, it's $100K purchase price. And I think on a good day, I could dispo it for 120 to someone to flip it.
Yeah.
But we have comps for like as is plays for like 200K.
Dude, take that shit down. Yeah, it makes no sense to wholesale that.
Yeah.
That's like something I was telling you about. I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna buy it.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, I'm paying a wholesaler right now $105,000 assignment fee in New York.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like with wholesalers, like they think like that the buyer cares about how much they make. I could give a fucking shit. I hope the wholesaler makes actually more money, because then they're going to come back to me because they know I don't count their pockets. But some of these wholesalers are like, oh, well, buyers say they should only pay me a 20. I'm like, what the fuck?
Some buyers are like that.
I know those buyers are perfect. There's like real estate is a commodity. People forget that. It's like buying and selling.
Yeah. And doing like taking wholesaling more seriously on the dispo side, like there are not many, but there's a couple buyers in town here that are like that. And those are the only people that like, they're not on our list. They're blacklisted.
Yeah. They're problem customers. Like, they're not worth it.
So,
because someone will buy that house, right? Especially the way you guys sell your deals with Facebook and the email list. Like, the masses will see it in this community.
Yeah. There's easier buyers to work with. So, I don't get it. Like, I'm just like you where, I see it as an asset, like keep sending me deals. I hope that you put that money back into marketing and don't buy
another house.
But right. But other people like it, especially it's specifically people that have never done direct to seller.
Yeah.
We don't understand what you and I have to do.
Oh my God.
Deal.
It's so hard.
They've only ever been a part of like a big company or even like, a Wedgwood type situation.
Yeah.
Wedgwood is not like this, by the way, locally at least, but being a part of a company like that is so much different. It's the same business, but it's so much different than what you and I do, where, they're just a cog in a really big machine.
Yeah.
And they don't understand. It does probably from their point of view, just because they don't know, it's just like ignorance. It does seem like the wholesalers doing nothing. They're the one taking all the risk.
They're just greedy dude in the middle making 60 grand. It's like, if you knew the amount of fucking marketing knowledge you have to have and sales skills and systems to predictably do that, you would be like, wow.
And the seller drama is like,
oh God, title issues, affidavits, dude. I've had I could write a book on seller drama, dude. I'm sure you can too, especially out here. I'm sure you see a lot of meth head Jeffs up in like Sun Valley and shit.
100%. Yeah. And it's just like, for them, it's like, they don't know what they don't know. But at the same time, it's like, why don't you just like take a step back, stop caring about how much we make. Here's a deal on a silver platter. Just close it.
You guys even provide a home inspection.
Yeah.
Which nobody does that.
Right. Yeah.
I've seen your deals. I'm like, this guy pays for a home inspection, what else can you ask for if you're a buyer?
Because I've been on both ends of it. That's how I've developed the process, is because like I've been the wholesaler that doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. I've been the wholesaler that does know what the fuck he's doing. I've been, a buyer from like decent wholesalers.
Yeah.
I've been a buyer from really shitty wholesalers.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than getting a deal through your email that has 6 photos. The ARV is too high by 10%. The rehab is 15K when it's 70.
Oh yeah.
And I know that like, it's horrible. So then when we started doing it, I was like, what would I want to see as a buyer? I'm like, well, 150 photos, full walkthrough video, inside and out, home inspection, all the details, real comps, like not a rehab amount because everyone's numbers are different.
Yeah, for sure.
They're different, but like, this is what we do, or this is what it needs type thing.
Yeah. Like the items, not the price. That price, the wholesalers fuck themselves. Right. I'm like, bro, just tell them that it needs work and they can decide.
Yeah. It's much easier, or it's just better if my goal is to provide so much information up front to the buyers that they wouldn't even need to walk.
Yeah. Well, we do that in Delaware. We do sight unseen deals all day long.
Yeah.
All day long. Dude.
Yeah.
Because it's just like they know. And I trust me because I'm a dispo guy. They trust me. They know I'm not going to fuck them over.
But yeah, I know you're right on your numbers too.
Yeah. I give them a number. Yeah. Well, I give a number that's realistic. I'm like, hey, because I'm like you. I flip, I wholesale, I've done all those different. So like, I know what a buyer's going to pay for this on a wholesale side, and I know how they're going to make a profit. A lot of these new wholesalers, they don't understand that.
They don't know.
So they're just like,
yeah. And that gives you leverage as a wholesaler too, as you are actually a buyer. One, we could take it down if we wanted to.
So it's our option.
And two, even if we don't, like there's never any buyer pushback on like rehab. A or B is like subjective, but we're never shooting for the moon eyes and they know that. So it takes all of those games out of it from the buyer where they're like, oh, well, it's only going to resell for this. And like, I'm going to have to spend 120 grand here. And it's like, dude, you can't bullshit me like that because like, I know the numbers.
Yeah.
You know? So
exactly.
Yeah, it's been a process to like kind of get where we're at. But yeah, overall, it's like, we've just been focused on like get good at the sales and marketing. And then at some point, if we want to re-enter operations more and like start flipping more again, we can.
You have the infrastructure built like the real way, which is going to give you a huge advantage versus, because you were a rehabber and now you're a wholesaler, which is like extra powerful, right?
That's the hard part is getting the deals.
That's the whole business.
The flipping thing is, the operations component, like it's a necessary evil to make money on the house, but like the money is made on the acquisition.
Oh, all day long.
Just knowing how to find deals, knowing what deals look like and like putting them in contract. Like that's when you have something where you can make money. So it's like, how do you monetize that the easiest way?
Yeah. Do you want to assign it? Do you want to flip it? Do you want to rent it? Like that's where I see so many new investors. I'm like, dude, if you could just get good at one marketing channel and become profitable and no direct marketing, you'll never have to worry about money again.
Yep.
You might not make 100 grand a month right away, but you'll certainly make 10 grand a month because you know how to turn $1 into $3 to $4, right? And that's why I love wholesaling. It's a straight up ATM machine.
Yeah. Much faster. And then like, just like the cash flow issues when you flip a lot, just at the business level, it's very hard to manage the cash flow. And I'm very lucky to have Wes as my partner, so he can build us some like really cool tools. And like we have a cash flow management thing that works pretty well. But even with that, it's very hard to have like 8, 10 active rehabs. You always have the rehab money going out and nothing coming in until they sell.
It just comes and goes. It's like you have all these accounts receivable and you get it on the sale and you got to pump it right back out in the fucking next house. So you're never like sitting on a lot of cash. Right? You're always just recycling that cash. And a lot of big flippers are like, oh man, this isn't worth it. It's like you have 2 million out in accounts receivable, but you got, 50, 60 G's a month of overhead. Like, the fucking equity ain't going to pay for that shit.
Yep, exactly.
So that's why I love to do both wholesale and flip. Like I like to wholesale, like I call it like our base hit business, 20K wholesale deals on the East Coast, a little bit here, starting to do. And then like the fucking home runs, I take those things down. Buyers never know about them. Like I own them. Like there's just no need to do that, right?
It makes total sense.
And that's how you maximize your profit.
100%. Yeah. It's just, it's very difficult to get to that point where you can make those decisions. Like this one makes more sense to do this. This one makes more sense to do this. And like, I think that's where, we just had a shift of just trying to become good, like not just like the deals, not like, oh, we're just trying to, wholesale as many as we can. It's like, how do we, like, we just want to strive, like, it's two different businesses, acquisitions and dispositions. So it's just like, how do we become like 100% better than our competition as far as like the service that we give the seller? And then also, how do we become like the number one provider of off-market investment opportunities for every other buyer in town?
I think you're already doing
that's like the purpose of the company.
Well, I think you're already there, to be honest. I mean, there's nobody else really in Reno that's doing
there's no one that really wholesales like at scale at all.
No.
And, if I didn't know better, if I went on Investor Lift and went on, deals sold and I saw that, Alex or Cody is the dispo manager on every single one, I'd be like, oh shit, this is like untapped, unsaturated market. But the reason why is it's a tough market.
Dude, it's so hard.
It's hard here. And most of the big buyers, because it is so hard, they also do their own marketing. So there's not like a need for wholesalers to provide deals to everyone.
Yeah, they're already out there doing the same thing.
Yeah.
The websites, the mailers, everyone's doing it.
So, and that's what's really challenging for us is like we do compete with our own buyers
on the same
deal. Yeah. And it's super competitive. I'm sure it's like that in most markets, but that's something that's always a challenge for us. But, at the same time, that's the difference between like wholesaling when you don't know what you're doing and then wholesaling when you do. Like for the seller, I know for a fact that like whatever we promise the seller, that's exactly how the transaction is going to go. Whether we take it down, whether another buyer takes it down, it's indifferent to the seller. It makes no difference at all. So that's how we can be, comfortable and confident that just like this is the deal for the seller. And then, whatever we end up doing with it, it doesn't matter.
It's not going to impact the seller. They're going to get the same thing they were promised. Whether you assign it or buy it, they're getting X.
Yep. And it's not like, oh, like if I can't figure this out, like I'm going to screw over the seller type thing. Like from being a buyer, we just know the numbers good enough where it's like, this is our max offer and we can either wholesale it or we can take it down.
Yeah.
And like it's a deal.
That's what gives, your brand a good reputation too, because if sellers know that, they're going to go with you over the guy who's only going to wholesale it. Yeah. Doesn't know shit about this market.
Yeah. We don't have to renegotiate very often. We try not to. I know there's, a lot of people that like
teach renegotiate
every deal.
Disgusting.
Yeah. We don't do it.
I renegotiate if I fuck something up where the seller didn't disclose something like septic shot. I didn't know about that.
Yeah. I looked, it might've been when we were talking on Instagram, I dug through, our deals last year. And I think we had 10 renegotiations out of all the deals. 9 of them were successful. And all 10 of them were deals that were done over the phone because
case in point. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
They didn't disclose the facts, right?
And that's what helps about actually paying for a home inspection too.
Yeah, right.
It's like, hey, this is not what we thought it was. Here's the home inspection. It's not like they have to take our word for it. And it's not like, oh, they're just trying to get it for less.
And giving them the facts up front and they can see pictures and actually a guy with a license saying, hey, like this is a fucked up house. Yeah. You might not have known it was fucked up, but now that it's fucked up, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's my favorite negotiation line is if we have to do it is, hey, I actually had to do this the other day with a seller. XYZ occurred. Nobody knew about it before. What do you think we should do? Yeah. And then it's the fucking seller's idea. If they want to go that route instead of being like, hey, I got to be 10 grand cheaper. Hey, this case, the property had a condemned violation against it. Like the city was going to knock it down. Hey, we didn't know there was this notice of pendency condemned doc on here. What do you think we should do about that? Because that wasn't in our original plan. And you didn't know that either because it came after we got title back. Right. She was like, well, looks like I'm going to have to take less. There you go. There you go. Right. Right. That's it. Like a lot of people be like, oh yeah, lock it up. And then once your contract, you've been, that's fucking garbage, man. That's how people get a bad reputation. Yeah. That's why. Follow bad advice. Yeah. That's why wholesaling is like the used car. It's like the pawn shop of real estate. Yeah. It's because of stuff like that. And also it's, I can't talk too much shit because that was me, the guy that me too, bro, got into it through that and didn't know what I was doing. Yeah. And it's just like, there's a lot of wholesalers have to cancel on sellers because they don't know what they're doing. They don't know the numbers. And that's why they even locked up a deal, in a competitive market is because their offer was off by 50K. And they didn't know better. And they didn't know. But that's why, they can go to people like you and Reno when they can partner with you and they can go to meet up. So as we start to wrap the show, if people are listening and they're either local to Reno or they have a lot of YouTube content too and social media. Yeah. What's the best way for them to get in touch with you, on the YouTube side and then on your social media side? Maybe they have a deal for you or something like that. Yeah. My Instagram is It's Ficco, F-E-E-K-I. It's Ficco. I've never changed it. That's from the rapping days. Okay. And then, my YouTube is Ficco Flips because I just wanted to keep that for the time being at least. But just Instagram's good. Just hit me up there. And I always try to help out like as I can. Yeah. Because I got help, when I was new, I was lucky enough to, get hooked up with a buyer that was not like the pocket watcher. And pocket watcher. That's fucking funny. He understood that wholesalers are an asset to him. They don't know what they're doing. Yeah. So he helped me out a lot just by being watcher. I'm gonna steal that from you. Yeah. He was always available and would answer my questions. Yeah. And probably because he knew that all right, if I help this kid, I'm going to get at least a house out. Yeah. And I probably just didn't portray myself as a total idiot. Yeah. And that's why he did it. So I try to pay it forward and do the same. So if, and I run a local meetup here. So I try to help out with numbers and stuff and make sure that the wholesalers don't have to worry about me going behind their back and out of the deal. I'll follow up with them and be like, hey, what's going on with this? What's going on with this? But if they give me the address before they have it in contract, I'll just say, hey, if this was our lead, here's ARV, rehab, max offer. I think I could dispo it for this. I do the same thing with guys. And they trust me. They trust you because they know when I can fuck them. We got way too many things going on to fuck over a wholesaler for a just in case assignment fee. Right. Your reputation is not worth it. And once you get to the point where you can spend money in marketing and you have a sales team and stuff, it's more about volume and you have an abundance of leads. You lose a house, you get the next one. Right. It's not it's not worth the time to pursue this one home. Yeah, right. It's worth their time because they don't have enough leads to work on yet. So go all in, go after that house, go get it. But just because I helped you, just bring it to me. That's it's like an unwritten rule. Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah, and we get a lot of JV deals from that because they see all my shit, they see your shit, and oh shit, if I got a house in Reno or fucking New York, I'm going to call the guy who talks about it all the time.
Right.
Right. And I always say to wholesalers, like new wholesalers, there's a very good chance they're going to make more money splitting a deal with me or you than they would on their own. Because our buyers lists are strong and we know what we're fucking doing.
100%. Yeah.
And they get to see the whole process from start to finish.
Yeah.
And it's a good way to get your eyes time because, you know, number one, we're going to make some money. And number two, they're going to get value. It's an equal value to value exchange versus like when you pick your brand for 20 minutes at lunch.
Yeah, no, I think you're 100% right. I heard your content when you were talking about that. And yeah, that's why I run the numbers because, you know, at some point, the way that you get the big fees is by doing the dispo process properly.
Yeah.
So like we have to run the numbers first before we JV because we're not going to go through the whole thing and only to realize what we already know that it's not
That's a deal. Yeah.
So like if there is like, you know, at least a 20K fee, I think to split, then we can do the dispo process for you and JV
max it
and
out
stuff like that. And that's where, you know, maybe we get 35K fee, we split it and you would have, because like you just don't know yet, you know, maybe you would have got a 5K on your own just by giving into the one buyer.
Yeah, there's a Randy down the street who knows he's got you in the corner, basically.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's awesome stuff, man. Well, thanks for being a guest, first in-person Reno show.
Yeah.
And so with Yoan's Ficco on Instagram and then Ficco Flips and then Reno area, I'm reading your hat, Reno area home buyers, not house buyers. So RenoAreaHomeBuyers.com.
Yeah.
Check them out. Thanks everyone for watching the show. We'll see you on the next one.